I made a throwaway comment in my last Vampire Survivors video about picking up a katana and it making me the worst. Nobody responded to that comment, but it got me thinking. I should do an entire video with just the katana and cement my position as the worst for all of posterity. So I started the game up and lo, I haven't unlocked the katana character. Great. Looks like I'm doing 2 videos on this stupid sword. The character that starts with a sword is this one. I refuse to butcher the pronunciation of any of these words, so you'll just have to do the lightest bit of reading and butcher the pronunciation in your mind on your own time. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to call the 2 characters King Weeb and Prince Weeb. To unlock King Weeb, you need to kill 100,000 enemies in a single run with a specific character. That specific character is Prince Weeb, a lesser scion of greater Weebs. This is easier said than done, as during the course of a normal run, you will kill maybe a third of that number, so endless mode it is. I select the heir to the Weeb throne and move on to the stage select. I pick the church that serves as the final stage of the main game for literally no reason other than it is pretty to look at. My goal is simple. Reach the 100,000 kill benchmark and unlock King Weeb. That being said, I am not overly fond of endless mode. The point of Vampire Survivors or any of these other horde survival games is to beat the clock and then you are ostensibly done. Going on forever and ever after you've ascended to godhood and destroy everything with less than a sneeze seems less than interesting and somewhat self-indulgent. I am also lazy, and walking is so much more work than not walking. So, once I reach the 30-minute mark, the point where a typical run would end, I will just stand there until I reach the kill threshold. If my build is not up to snuff, I'll die and have to restart the run, which means more walking, so I don't particularly want to do that. I begin the run and start with the Revives Arcana. This is my first shot at this, so I'm unsure of how difficult it'll be, and dying early would be pretty anticlimactic. So I stack up some revives to hopefully make that not happen. Prince Weeb's starting weapon is solid in combination with other weapons, but it's pretty lackluster on its own. For my first buy, I pick up the garlic. In most cases, I think this item is kind of a scrub trap. The smelly circle is nice for keeping the hordes at a safe distance, and I do enjoy the moderate amount of sustain that the upgraded version provides. But I typically prefer the beetles. I may or may not be wrong on this mechanically, but the spinning books just look so much cooler than the garlic animation. Regardless of which is better, for this standing still strategy, I will need to have a don't touch me zone. I plan on getting both items eventually, but to start, I get the garlic because I don't want to die due to lack of sustain. The lightning strike is another scrub trap in my opinion, but the duplicator evolves my starting item as well as this item, so I pick it up. It's not the worst or anything, just a bit lackluster, but will hopefully thin out the horde once Operation Don't Walk Around starts. The 3 spell weapons are maybe the best in the game. They only require themselves to upgrade and do so at level 6. There are 3 of them, but they combine into one when they evolve. The lack of a required equipment slot also frees you up to grab some equipment items that aren't relevant to evolving any weapons. The only downside is that you are forced to not buy any new weapons until you get all 3 spell weapons. The duplicator is nice because it only has 2 upgrade slots, and once you get them, the item won't be offered anymore, allowing you to increase your chance of getting new items that you need. The downside of the spell weapons is on display here. I really want to get the Beeble, but if I do, I won't be able to upgrade this strictly better item. Always get the crown if your build allows. The earlier the better. The cooldown reduction of the book is pretty nice, but nothing to write home about. If there's nothing to grab, it's not the worst idea to just pick it up. Spell weapon number 2 acquired. 2 down, 1 to go. I've been at an uncomfortably low amount of health for some time now. This red heart is pretty clutch, not only for its ability to pump healing goo through my veins, but also because it's required to evolve my smelly circle into an even smellier circle. My first evolution of the run is one that upgrades Prince Weeb's starting weapon, the Summon Knight, into the Echo Knight. The primary difference is in power and how long the damaging teeth and smoke stay on the screen. It's not particularly noteworthy, but it was inevitably going to happen. And this chest is a 5-item one. Always nice. Contained within is the smelliest of circles, the upgraded garlic. Not only is this circle so rank that it slays all those who enter, but it also heals me. Pretty clutch considering that I've been half dead for the past several minutes. Here's the upgraded lightning strike. Not really much to say about it. It adds more lightning. Oh boy, Arcana time. I'll try to contain my excitement. I don't really care about any of these, so I go with rerolls in the hope that I can use it to get rid of some of the trash items that I will inevitably be offered. I give Operation Don't Walk Around a test run against the giant robots. It seems to work pretty well, but I've got some items to level, so eventually I will have to move and pick up the experience on the ground. So I begrudgingly start walking again. I get a bunch of levels and go on a banishing streak, in the hopes of eventually being offered the third spell weapon that I so desperately desire. After several banishes, it still doesn't show up. RIP. Out of banishes and still no spell weapon. Wonderful. Finally, with all of my banishes used, I'm offered the item that I have been waiting for. I pick it up and begin the process of experience grinding in the hope of eventually upgrading it. Level 6 acquired, and I make a beeline towards the chest that I've been saving for exactly this moment. I open the chest and am rewarded with the Spellstorm. There's a lot going on with this weapon, and in the interest of brevity, just take my word that it is quite good. In addition to being powerful in its own right, I now have 2 more weapon slots to fill out with whatever random crap tickles my fancy. None of these items perform the aforementioned tickling of my fancy. Nope. Ugh. Fine. I'm usually pretty anti-pentagram, but in this run, it seems good enough. Eventually, I won't care about the experience loss, and clearing a screen of enemies all at once will surely get my kill count really high, really fast, right? Spoilers, it won't. I round out my loadout with the Mirage Robe. This item summons several illusions that do their best me impression, and when enemies run into them, they are frozen. The illusions also have a chance to explode, increasing as the item levels. When the robes are evolved, it projects several of these imposters. These upgraded clones also have a chance to confuse the enemy and make them chase after the image as opposed to trying to rip my face off. The Attract Orb attracts experience, and I need it to evolve my new robe. I pick it up for the latter fact because I don't care about the experience that much at this point in the run. Spellbinder, I guess. I'm already slaying, and at the point where I want to upgrade all of my things before I'm barred from taking another step. Pentagram upgraded. Now, when the screen is cleared of enemies, I hoover up a bunch of experience. It's nice, but by the time you get it, the experience that you hoover will usually be an afterthought. Even before it's upgraded, my robes create a wall of me's that I can hide amongst while I farm the last remaining experience needed to evolve them. And now they're upgraded. All remaining chests will provide me with exclusively floor chickens. Yum. It is now time to commence Operation Don't Move Around. I plant my feet firmly on the ground and wait. I idle for several minutes before I look up at the kill count. 25,000 or so. Yikes. While it is certainly possible to get the amount of kills required, I'm not inclined to let the game idle for like an hour. I need more enemies and I need them quicker. Eventually, I quit out of the run and try again with a strat that will accomplish my goal more speedily. Once more with feeling as I head into attempt number 2. This time I pick the library. This stage has a larger number of weaker enemies, so theoretically my kill count will get higher, faster. I also ditched the revives in favor of the Mad Groove. I'm going to be playing on Endless again. So while they are not there to help me kill death this time, the arrow and the ring will increase the amount of enemies that spawn, and that seems like something I want for this endeavor. For my first buy, I opt to eschew the Spell Strike. I maintain that it is one of the best items in the game, but I used it last time, and I feel like that dead horse is already beaten to a bloody pulp. Speaking of dead horses, I pick up the Lightning Strike again. I handwave the description of this item in the last run, and I'll handwave it in this run. The name says it all. It strikes with lightning. The duplicator pickup means that I am well on my way to evolving both of these items. If only they were even remotely useful at this point. This pickup is the crux of the run. I decide that I'm going to go guns, a decision that, once made, needs to be abided by. These weapons are quite good. Not spell weapon good, but still high tier. There are 2 guns with unpronounceable names. Luckily, they have very pronounceable colors, red and blue. They shoot little glowing balls horizontally at an angle from the player. If you haven't noticed, the library is also horizontal, so it works out nicely. Ah, Mad Groove. I love it when you gather up all the little experience beans for me. If only you hadn't put like 30% of them well beyond my reach. How kind of the game to offer me my second gun so early in the run. With these red and blue hand cannons, I can now dispatch all the enemies that appear either on my left or my right. The ones that appear above or below me are a different story for now. but luckily they can be slain with Prince Weeb's starting weapon for the most part. The shape of the map also helps to make sure that there are very few things that spawn above and below me. This next sentence is absolutely only applicable to vampire survivors, but guns are really good in the library. I get offered the katana and consider it for a moment. No, I have not yet earned the right to wield the blade of the Weeb. The guns will have to do for now. I skip some items because I'm unsure of the direction that I want to go build-wise. I could have banished them, but none of the offerings were horribly offensive, and I want to keep my options open. I narrow my options shortly after picking up the prismatic missile. This item is solidly mid-tier. It spawns a bunch of rainbows towards the top of the screen that eventually move to my location, damaging enemies along the way before finally exploding. These explosions have different effects, varying based on which arcana you pick up. But for now, I'll leave it at they explode. I mostly got it because it evolves with the crown and I already have the shiny pointy hat, so I figured why not get the cool rainbow ball. The skull shows up. It's not very useful in a normal run, but I have a lot of enemies I need to kill. So I pick it up with the hope that it will spawn enough of these enemies to get me to my goal quickly. It will also make Danzig jealous because, as we all know, he wants my skulls. Beeble time. I pick up this book because I got the garlic last time, and I am nothing if not a variety enjoyer. This item spawns books that fly around me, damaging my foes and knocking them back a bit. When it's upgraded, the books will perpetually fly about my person, creating a nice don't touch me zone. The downside of the Mad Groove on more cramped maps is it can be tricky to not accidentally pick up the items that you are surrounded with, evidenced by my very careful threading of the needle as I walk through these two red books. As I begin fleshing out my equipment bar, I pick up the red heart. The reason for this is twofold. One, I have basically no sustain at this point and would very much like to not die. Two, I want to exit the new item phase of the game and enter the leveling phase of the game pretty soon. So, I'll just take what I can get in order to accomplish the latter goal. Gotta love a good vacuum pickup. I get the Spellbinder to evolve the Beebles and the Revive Cake to evolve the guns. Be careful with the cake, because if you die before you evolve your hand cannons, the cake goes away and you are left without the ability to evolve these weapons. These last two items fill out all of my remaining slots, and I begin leveling the items with the aim of evolving them. The first evolution of this run is the Prismatic Missile. The evolved form is largely the same as the unevolved one, but every time it attacks, it increases the value of gems. Decently handy, considering I got this item relatively early. Next up for evolution is the Summon Knight. I went over it in the last run, so if you forgot, just go back, I guess. Arcana time. Gemini is one of the better ones, particularly when paired with the guns. With this Arcana, my guns get an extra gun. I accidentally step on a stone mask. I don't really care about the coins, but I pick it up anyways. With the extra experience from the evolved Prismatic Missile, another experience sink shouldn't matter too much. Another accidental pickup, but this time it's the arrow. No sooner do I step upon this pointy red fella than a Mr. Cloaky appears. Now I have to deal with him for the next several minutes. Great. Luckily, this arrow is the sustain one. Useful because I am slowly dying. After this pickup, I am still slowly dying, just a bit less slowly. Remember what I said about threading the needle earlier? I am no longer doing that. I accidentally step on the red book. The cooldown reduction is nice, I guess, but I really didn't mean to do that. I suppose this is as good a time as any to point out that if you pick up items off the floor, you can still equip them even if your equipment slots are maxed out, allowing you to acquire a decent amount of equipment items if you so desire. I am really just tripping over all the items on the floor at this point. I get the silver ring and another Mr. Clokey appears. At least I stumbled upon the other one that helps me. This would have been way more annoying if I'd gotten the ones that buff the enemies before I'm ready for them. But I can take solace in the fact that this chest evolves the guns. The evolution combines the two weapons into one, allowing you to pick up another weapon. It also changes the firing pattern, going from little balls shooting horizontally to spawning a series of bars around the player every so often. However, because of my Gemini Arcana, the glowing balls will not go away entirely. This chest upgrades the lightning strike. Now I have double lightning. That's cool, I guess. Shortly thereafter, I upgrade my Beeble. This one I am actually excited about. The books go from blue to red and now perpetually circle around me, creating a damaging wall of paper between me and my enemies. I have it set in my mind to get the laurel at this point. I'm not worried about surviving death, but I am worried about surviving. The upgraded laurel makes you nigh invulnerable, so I go on a little banishing streak and try to get that good leaf. Shortly after, the Mr. Clokeys fall and grant me some eggs. These add to meta progression but are largely irrelevant to this run. And it's laurel time. I grab the leaf and level it alongside the rest of the items that I still need to improve. With everything more or less leveled to where I want it to be, I scoop up the enemy buffing ring and the enemy buffing arrow. The final two Clokeys appear, and I avoid them as usual as I pump levels into my newfound items. The third arcana of the run is the freeze one. It makes no real difference one way or the other. The only thing that is really relevant at this point is the upgraded laurel. After a couple more minutes of level grinding, I get all the levels that are required to level the final arrow and pick up one of the chests that I have been saving for exactly this moment. The upgraded laurel caps incoming damage at 10, making me basically invincible and able to weather any storm that comes my way. With this game-breaking item, I begin Operation Don't Walk Around, Part 2, and cease my walking around. My kill count is significantly higher than it was the last time, and I have much more curse, which means there will be many more enemies rushing towards my unmoving form. All that's left to do is sit back and wait. It takes a little over 10 minutes to get the kills required to beat this challenge, but I eventually do so. Prince Weeb has completed his quest for King Weeb, and can now go to the halls of his fathers, in whose mighty company he will not feel ashamed.